Session 3 explained data types and how to operate them in more details. Since the focus of this Python Basics is for students to prepare their studies of data science, financial modeling, and business analytics, we focus more on data and their types. Now, we click the Run button to run the cells in the notebook one by one. As you will see, if the cell is a Python code, there will be an index in front of the cell to show the steps. If the cell is Markdown, then no index is shown. A comprehensive list of Python object types include numbers, strings, lists, tuples, iterators, dictionaries, sets, functions, modules, classes, instances, and objects, files. None Boolean. If it is a number, then we also have different subtypes such as integers, floats, or complex numbers. Now, let us run cells one by one. You may pause the video and write the code in your own machine or download this notebook from your teacher, then run the cells step by step. We will explain each cell carefully. First three cells are integer 2, float 2.2345678, and a complex number. Note, the index in front of each cell is counted from 1 to 3. It overwrites the previous number since we just start the notebook, so it starts a new count. Common math operators in Python language are shown here. Pay more attention to the exponentiation operator that is different from other common programming language. We can use built-in math functions to do common or basic function, so the users do not need to rewrite these codes. We write import math as MT to activate the math module, or more often we call Python library. You will see in the future that we will import and activate many existing Python libraries or modules from next sessions. A powerful benefit of using Python or other programming language is that we can use a lot of advanced libraries that were created by other people. The word is between math and met helps us to short the module name, so when we call the library in the next cell, we can save a few space. In this case, the word math is not long, so the benefit of shorting the name is not obvious. But if you use a library or a module within some big libraries has a very long name, then short the name becomes important. Here we use the built-in function to calculate the cos value. You can calculate it immediately and show the output directly below the cell. Or you can calculate it immediately but save the output in a variable. Here we save the result in the variable named as capital X. We cannot the output directly, but it is saved in the system now. You can type print x to show the value. Here are some rules about what makes a valid variable name. Variable names are case-sensitive. Variable names can contain any letter, the underscore character, and any digit 0 to 9, but must not start with a digit. A variable name must not be the same as one of the reserved Python keywords. The built-in constant names true, false, and none cannot be assigned as variable names. Now strings, it is an important data type in natural language processing or LLM large language models. How to operate and modify them are crucial to clean the data, since in the real world, textual data has a lot of noise and messy. As we mentioned earlier, we need quotation marks to define the string, otherwise the machine does not understand the text. Within the quotation marks, the empty space is also recognized as a string. When we print the string, the quotation marks are ignored. But if we want to print the quotation marks, then we need different quotation marks to tell the machine which quotation is needed to print. Here, we show some examples. Look at them more carefully. This table summarizes main string methods that we will use in the future studies. You do not need to remember them. You can always Google them when you need them. But remember, you have these many options to modify strings, and Python is powerful to deal with strings. This is why Python is popular in natural language processing. Let's look at a few examples. You can read the comments in the cells to understand the methods. Now, move back to indexing and slicing. We introduced them briefly in the previous session when we create a simple list or tuple. We can index the elements in list and tuple, but cannot do that in set or dictionary. Here, more examples are illustrated. Type and try them one by one in your own machine in order to understand the details. You may pause the video if needed. This table includes many common list methods. Again, you do not need to remember them now. You can always Google them when you need them. But remember, you have these powerful methods to help you operate the list efficiently, so always check what kinds of tools that you can use, rather than write everything by yourself from scratch. We introduced tuples in the previous session as well. Here we offer more examples. Read the comments and try on your own machine one by one. We will discuss for loops and other conditional operations in the future videos. At this stage, you can focus more on the data type. We can use different ways to iterate the elements in a list or assign an index in each element and print them line by line. We can also merge and zip them together. When you clean your raw textual data, always think or check whether more efficient existing Python methods are available for you to use. We introduced dictionary and set as well in previous session. More examples here. Try them on your own machine step by step. Here, this cell explains two important comparison and logic operators. The purpose of a double equal sign is to compare values on both sides, while an exclamation mark and an equal sign combined together is to compare whether two sides are not equal. Look at the examples below to better understand these operators more clearly. If we compare more conditions at the same time, then we use and/or operators to compare all conditions at the same time. Check the examples carefully and type them in your own machine. Now let us look at loops. Start with while and for loops. In while loops, you need to assign initial values to the variables, then write while with a condition. For example, in our case, b is less than 20. So the loops will keep running as long as b meets the condition. The loop will be stopped when b is equal to 20. Sometime due to mistakes in the loops, the condition keeps running and never stop. Then you should force to stop the loops and modify your code. For loops can avoid this kind of situation, since the loops will be stopped when all elements in the list are addressed. List comprehensions are useful and efficient ways to combine loops into a single line of code. Read these examples carefully to feel the benefits of using list comprehensions. However, at this stage as a beginner of learning Python, we suggest you to write for or while loops formally so you understand the meaning of each line. Once you are familiar with these basics, then you can refine your code to apply list comprehensions. Here we introduce two ways of creating functions. At this stage, try to read the code carefully and type them in your own machine. You do not need to remember the format at this stage. When you need to write function in your future project, you can Google it or copy and paste some existing examples, then change the function name and the parts inside the function to achieve your own goal. Here we include some extra examples for you to try and help you to better understand the data types and their operations. This final example is to see another benefit of using tuple. We ask the machine to repeat 1 million times of creating a list of 0.12345 and a tuple with the same values, then print the total time used to complete the two tasks. We import and activated the TimeIt library that helps us to record the implementation time. As you can see, the time used when creating tuple is much less than creating a list. Please note, when you run this cell, the time may be different depending on the power of your machine. The first line below the cell is the time used when creating a list. The second line is the time used when creating a tuple. The difference is significant, so think if you are using Python to do high-frequency trading, which type will you use to create and save your financial data? Now let us write 1 plus 1 again and see the index in front of the cell. As mentioned in previous sessions, if the cell is code, the index will be updated. At this moment, it is 95. If we refresh or restart the kernel by clicking the refresh button in the top panel, then the index will be reset and start with 1. Okay, that's all for this session. See you in next session.